This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome back to the Fan Reporter Show, made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and sitting right across from me is Andrew, who's going to give us this week's topic.
With the Drummond trade to Atlanta all but dead, we take a look at what went wrong and what deals could still be on the table for the big man. In the meantime, Coach Dwayne Casey's been giving a whole lot of run to some of the young guys on the roster. Could this be a glimpse into what the future holds for the Pistons? Lastly, we'll give our 2 cents on Lions draft talk and just how much value our pick may have gained now that Tua was declared. It's a Fan Report.
All right, well, you heard the man. Obviously, it's going to be a busy topic day. We're going to be trying to roll through this as quickly as possible without taking too much time up here.
Gambit of stuff to run through.
Well, that's what happens when you take a week off.
Yeah.
What did you want to start with today? I guess is
Let's start with Drummond talk.
Let's start with Drummond talk. It is kind of top of mind, frontal lobe, as you could say.
Yep.
News broke a couple weeks ago that the Pistons were actively shopping Andre Drummond. A day after an interview with Tom Gores, basically him stating,
you
could read between the lines that he was saying that it's time for this team to rebuild. Yeah. That what we have now isn't working, and we need to make the necessary moves to kind of take it down and build it back up the way it needs to be done. And within, I would even say 24 hours of that, we got news, thrown in our face about the Pistons actively shopping Andre Drummond to the Hawks, and then more news dropped that there were several other teams involved, and that a trade could happen. Well, news did break today. We haven't really heard too much in that front since. Little tidbits here and there, nothing
rumors
major.
Were always it was the Brooklyn draft pick, Chandler Parsons, and a young talent on the roster. That was always a rumor.
I actually had heard it was Chandler Parsons and somebody like DeAndre Hunter, no draft pick. That was some of the rumors that I had heard.
Yeah,
it's centered around those three pieces right there. Obviously, Chandler Parsons makes contract work, and a young budding star or that Brooklyn number 1 pick is kind of what I was hearing. If we could have gotten both, that would have been nice. Yeah. But reports broke today that the trade talks between the Hawks and the Pistons are effectively dead. Hawks did make a trade today, bringing back Jeff Teague from the T-Wolves, giving up Alan Crabb. So I don't know. I don't think that would make any kind of difference in these trade talks, to be honest, unless we're talking a salary situation. But
I have right now from Chris Haynes what the deal that was on the table was.
Well, I'm saying that I don't think the Teague trade caused these Drummond talks to stall. I think the Drummond talks stalled because of the fact that the Pistons probably were asking for the deal like you mentioned, and the Hawks didn't want to give up the first and the young player to go together, which would be my guess.
Because the deal that was reportedly in place, this is according to Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports, he stated that, and this was as a couple hours before recording this, so this is as of Thursday evening. In the deal for Drummond that has been nixed, Detroit would have received from Atlanta Damian Jones, Chandler Parsons, or Alan Crabb, who was just dealt to Minnesota, and a first-round pick. So the young star thing that was so like
that would have been off the
said,
table. Yeah,
like
it was
either
or.
Probably either or.
It was going to be either or.
So obviously the Pistons said no to this package. Mm-hmm. But does that make you?
It also is possible that the player they wanted was Alan Crabb, maybe not Chandler Parsons. And once the Hawks traded Alan Crabb, that took that deal off the table. I don't understand. That doesn't quite make entirely that much sense to me because of the fact that either way, Chandler Parsons' contract is an expiring deal. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't make, that aspect of it wouldn't make all that much sense to me if that's what they're looking for to make the money match. But from my guess,
Alan Crabb's expiring also, but it's not worth quite as much as Chandler Parsons.
My guess would be that the Pistons, were asking for a young talent to go with that first round pick, and Chandler Parsons or Alan Crabb to make the money work. And the Hawks just weren't willing to part with that. And honestly, I don't blame them. I don't think. I'll be honest with you, I don't know that Drummond's worth all that. I think his market value is either or.
I feel like everyone in Detroit said when the trade rumor happened, like, I don't know why you'd pay that much for Drummond, but hey, let's do it.
Exactly, and that's why I was saying from the beginning that I think it's either or. I don't think it's all of the above here. I think you're getting the first or a young talent like a DeAndre Hunter. I think Kevin Huerter probably would have been off the table. I don't think they'd be willing to part with him, but or Cam Reddish, I believe, was the other name that was thrown out there to go along with Chandler Parsons or Alan Crabb to make the money work. I don't ever think there was a situation where you could have gotten both. I think that's what the Pistons were asking for, and that's why the trade talks stalled. Maybe what's going to happen is the Pistons are pulling the power move of walking away from the deal to try to make the Hawks come back and say, hey, fine, we'll do it. Or, hey, how about this instead? Maybe sweeten the deal a little bit.
Other possibilities, is it possible the Pistons could have a better deal they're in discussions for? Like, that they would easily walk away from a first-round pick for Drummond?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know that you're going to find a better trade partner than the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are the best trade partner for you.
It seems they're willing to walk away from an expiring plus a first, which would tell you maybe they've heard better offers that now they want to go back and explore. That's possible,
and maybe they'll use that as leverage to try to go back to the Hawks and say, look, this is our other offer. Do you want them or not? And I think that'd be a smart play on their part. You don't want to walk away too far because then the Hawks can go and do something else and, too late at that point. Yeah. But, I don't mind the Pistons being willing to explore the market for Drummond. I just want a deal to get done.
What does this do for your confidence in the fact that deal gets done by the deadline?
It definitely took my confidence that deal gets done definitely took a blow today. I've always felt from the beginning that the Hawks were the number one trade partner for the Pistons. Why the Hawks want Drummond, I don't know. I don't think he works with that roster. I don't think that's a team that. I think the Hawks going after an expiring deal like that on a 3-month rental because he's going to opt out makes zero sense to me because that team's not really a playoff contender, and even if they are contending for the playoffs, they're contending for a bottom seed. So it doesn't make sense for them to go after an expiring deal like Andre Drummond's unless there's a definitive situation where he can resign. But even then, I still don't entirely think he works all that well. When you throw in DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Cam Reddish, Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, when you throw that bunch together, I don't think Drummond fits in with that style of basketball. You seem to disagree, but I don't think he does because I think Drummond, the way he plays and the way his attitude is, in an offense like that, he'll get ignored, as he should be.
Well, let's be honest. Like a player like Drummond is outdated in today's game. But
100%. But damn well Drummond ain't going to be okay with that.
Yeah, but
he gets pissed in our system if he doesn't get the ball.
That's what I'm saying. My argument is that if there was a system that is habitable for habitable, is that habitable?
I have no idea.
If there's a system where Drummond could at least somewhat work, I feel like the Hawks are one of those systems. Where they have the right combination of players that it could work with Drummond because they do thrive in the pick and roll. They have a ton of floor spacers.
They do, and Trae Young is a solid passer
and they need a
as well.
rebounder. So,
well, John Collins is a guy who's a pretty solid rebounder.
Yeah, but he moved
with.
to the 4 if Drummond.
He did.
That's
his
natural position.
Yes. Which again, that could work, but that requires Drummond to take a back seat and not just a back seat, but basically be sitting in the trunk in an offense, in an offensive system, which you know damn well he doesn't want to do. And I don't necessarily think he works in that in a 4-out 1-in either. And the reason is because that 1-in guy needs to be very solid in the paint. Otherwise, you have no paint presence. You're going to get dominated in the paint on in the stat sheet. And I know it's not necessarily as true as it used to be, but if you get dominated in the paint, chances are you lose a basketball game. You'll be solid on the glass because Drummond's a great rebounder. But either way, Drummond's not a solid post player. He's a very below average post player, and in a 4-out 1-in, you need a solid post player down low to be that guy that can set you up with those pick and rolls, that can play back to the basket when needed. Is he the type of center that would work in a 4-out 1-in? Yes, if he develops a post game, because he doesn't have any other semblance to his offensive game other than that. So if he develops a more concrete and more consistent post game, then he would be perfect for that system. But also the attitude plays a factor as well, and I don't think he's a guy who's going to be willing to sit in the trunk in in anybody's offense, let alone that one. But that's not even mentioning the contract situation either.
Just bringing up a couple of teams that were reportedly interested as of like a week ago. Boston Celtics, Toronto Raptors were two of the teams mentioned that seem to have the pieces to make it work.
I'll be honest with you, neither one of those two teams makes any sense to me.
Well, I mean, no team really makes sense.
I know, but those two teams in particular, because what the Celtics would have to give up is something along the lines of Marcus Smart or a Jaylen Brown.
They make a ton less sense than the Raptors, I'll tell you that much.
Yes. And would they really be getting any better adding Drummond to that roster and losing one of those guys? Absolutely not. And the Raptors, I really don't think make all that much sense either.
So with the Raptors, what I can see the Raptors, because the Raptors do have expirings and aging players in Marcus Gasol and Serge Ibaka.
Right. But what young talent are they willing to give up?
Whose contracts would match Drummond's. I don't know if you're going to get young talent from the. You may get like a Marcus Gasol plus a pick.
But their draft pick's not going to be any good.
Not very good.
That's why it makes zero. They're a trade partner that makes zero sense.
You're not going to get a Van Fleet. You're not going to get a Siakam. You're not going to get an Anunoby.
Exactly. So what else do you want out of that? There's nothing else of value on that roster that you would want for Andre Drummond. Their draft pick's no good.
You think they'd give up Norman Powell?
No, I don't. And I'm sorry, I would need more than a Norman Powell. Norman Powell's a nice player.
He's a nice player.
He's a nice player.
I'm not going to get a stud.
He's a nice. Well, that's what they're trying to get out of this. Yeah. They're trying to get a stud in an expiring contract, which, frankly, that's what DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish would be from the Hawks.
Yeah, that's why I really like the Hawks.
Exactly. That's why I feel like the Hawks are a good trade partner. That's why I don't feel like the Raptors are a good trade partner, because the one guy you can actually consider to be obtainable. Why it doesn't work on your end, and their pick is terrible.
All right, I'm not sure if I'm completely bought into this idea, but I want to know what you think. Going back to the Hawks thing, let's say you offered Drummond plus a heavily protected first, so one that probably you wouldn't be giving up for like another 3 years or so.
Okay.
Would you do that if it netted you an addition of like Cam Reddish or DeAndre Hunter in that trade?
To go with the first round pick?
So you're giving up Drummond plus a highly protected first, which means it probably wouldn't come to fruition. Probably like
2023.
Yeah, something like that. And in return, you get the Brooklyn first plus Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter plus expiring. And
I would absolutely do that deal.
So you'd be willing to part with a future.
Yeah, because I think DeAndre Hunter or Cam Reddish are both players that could potentially be your cornerstone player of the future. And if that's the case, then your 2023 draft pick may not be all that great. You would hope not, at least.
Do you think that moves a needle at all for the Hawks?
No, I don't think it does. I don't think it does, because I don't think they're looking to push things that far down the road if they're going after Drummond right now.
Yeah, them going after Drummond right now is a win now move. That's what that is. That's we're trying to be competitive now.
Which makes zero sense to me. I don't understand. That's why I don't understand why the Hawks wanted him.
They want. I mean, I think it's a play for the Bird. The only value Drummond holds in the open market now for teams that want him is the bird rights.
Well,
Other than
I don't
that-
think they can. If he's not on your team, you don't get his bird rights. He has to be on your team for a certain period of time, if I recall.
Yeah, you have to get him before the deadline.
I don't think
That's
so.
That's the whole that was the whole motivation that people were speculating for the Hawks, is that they would get Drummond's bird rights, and that would allow them, that'd give them a better chance to re-sign him over the in the offseason, which Drummond has shown interest in being in Atlanta to begin with anyway. So I don't even know if they would need his bird rights to try to
okay.
acquire
His
Drummond.
bird rights would be traded with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
But on the Celtics end of this, the three biggest contracts on the Celtics, you're not getting Kemba, 32.7. You're not getting him anyways. Gordon Hayward, 32.7. He's been playing the best I've seen him since Utah. So I doubt
Well, that's
they
the
give him up.
Celtics situation. Is
Yeah.
you would have, and frankly,
So
Gordon
maybe-
Hayward's playing is
Yeah.
a better player than Drummond.
That's what I'm
is right
saying.
now.
So maybe you get like a Marcus Smart at 12. You're not going to get expiring. Maybe you get like a Marcus Smart plus maybe like a Jalen Brown. Like
I mean, that's way too much for the Celtics to give up at that point, though. Because
I don't.
if
You don't
I'm
get
the
a.
Pistons,
You definitely don't get a pick with that.
No, if I'm the Pistons, I would say sign me right the fuck up. Like I'm going right after that deal, getting Marcus Smart and Jalen Brown.
Mark this one explicit, guys.
Yeah. I'd be going right after that trade, getting both Jalen and Marcus Smart to lock down my backcourt for the next 5 years at least. Of course, I'd be doing that from the Pistons. But my question is, like, why the Celtics don't make sense there is because, one, that makes them a worse basketball team. That does not make them better. Frankly, I think the Celtics name is even brought up is because Danny Ainge just has this hard-on for being involved in any trade talks
And
that has to do with
Danny-
a borderline star player.
Danny Ainge also.
He likes to show how big his his dingaling is.
If we learn anything about Danny Ainge, is he's not going to pull the trigger on a trade unless he's boning the other team in that trade.
Right. Like Danny Ainge, you know damn well, Danny Ainge just likes to, throw it out on the table and say, look how big I am. I can pull this trade off if I want to, but I'm not going to because that makes 0 sense for my team. But I'm involved because I want to be.
Not, so I'm of the belief that you're not getting Drummond to the Celtics unless you're packaging him with a first-round pick.
Probably. Because that's the only way it'd make sense for the Celtics at all. And frankly, again, I don't necessarily love the Raptors' potential of what they can offer you. I mean, you could make the argument that you get Norman Powell, an expiring contract and a first-round pick. I don't necessarily love that deal either, but that may be the best offer on the table. But again, I don't understand how that makes the Raptors any better.
Yeah.
I don't understand what that does for their team that makes them this automatic championship contender at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I feel you. Anyway, do you, unless you have anything else to add to the Drummond talks?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that a deal gets done at this point?
Not the deal you're going to want. I'm of the belief that if we see, I was of the belief, and you knew this, that Atlanta was the best scenario.
I agree. I think, yeah.
So if the Atlanta deal is falling through, I don't think, I'm not doubting a deal gets done, but it's not one that's gonna make Pistons fans happy. Is basically how I'm wording this.
I'll be honest with you, any deal will make me happy. The guy's not coming back unless you give him a max deal, and at that point, we're royally screwed in this city for years.
Basically, we should have done a trade last year or 2 years ago when what was last year? Goris nixed a couple deals reportedly.
When we had a deal on the table for Blake Griffin, this is too far too late at this point. Now we're trying to salvage something out of this because Griffin's worth nothing on the open market.
It's reported
right
by
now.
multiple sources that the Pistons held back on a Blake Griffin deal too. There was a deal in place.
Exactly.
For Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin at this point is worth nothing on the open market. You're going to get what you get for Andre Drummond. I mean,
The wheels came off of that project real quick. Didn't they?
absolutely. As if anybody couldn't see that coming. Playing at their best, they were a borderline 8 seed. I mean, come on.
I'm talking about Griffin specifically.
Who would? Honestly, who's surprised? Dude's been dealing with a degenerative knee problem for how long now? I mean, let's be real here.
You think he has a bounce back? Because he do you
No,
think,
I don't. I'll be honest with
considering
you.
he did his surgery early enough this season, do you think he returns somewhat to form next year?
No, I really don't. I think we've seen his best basketball. I think you see a shadow of what Blake Griffin was last year next year. I don't think you see anything close to what we've seen with him so far in his career.
Ooh, doomsday.
Huh?
I said doomsday.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of, it's a little premature, but I bring up doomsday. This will segue us to our next topic, anyways. People have been speculating. Well, not speculating. People have been trying to throw around nicknames for Sekou Doumbouya. Doomsday is one of them that I heard. My favorite one that I've heard is Dr. Doom. I think Dr. Doom. People would call him the Prince, but we don't play the Palace anymore, so it's irrelevant. I don't like that. But
okay, first off, the Prince is taken. You can't call him the Prince of anything. Mm-hmm. Second off, why the hell are we giving a nickname to a guy who we don't even know if he's going to be any good?
He's been playing very well. He's
wonderful. I don't know if this guy's going to be any good. Do I have hope? Yes. Do I like what I've seen so far? Yeah, kind of I do. That doesn't mean anything. That means nothing. He's what, 20 years old? This kid could flame out of the league in 3 months. I mean, let's be real here. Let's not give nicknames to people that may only be here for a hot second, all right? We thought Henry Ellenson was going to be good at one point when he showed that one flash where they actually gave him minutes. He showed a flash. We were like, oh, this guy's going to be good. Yeah, where the hell is he now?
Ellenson had like one good game. Like, oh, maybe there's something there. No. Like, Ellenson wasn't even a flash. It was more like a spark.
No, it was a flash. He showed a flash when he actually got some minutes. He had a few good games going along, and then all of a sudden, well, not even all of a sudden, he just sucked.
So I very much hesitate to compare Ellenson to Doumbouya. What I've been seeing from Doumbouya is a lot more encouraging.
I do too. However, it does not necessarily mean Doumbouya is going to be anything. Mm-hmm. He's been solid this year when given an opportunity. I still don't think he's ready. Mm-hmm. I still want to see him go back down. I don't want to see him up here still. Frankly, there's a lot to be said about playing in a messy situation and being discouraged. Look at the Red Wings. They're still sheltering players as they should be. I still want him to shelter Zadina at this point.
Yeah.
I don't want Doumbouya to get involved in this garbage heap that's up with the big league here and end up stunting his growth. Mm-hmm. You know, I want him to have the opportunity, and I don't want it taken away from him once people start getting healthy and he starts losing those minutes and starts losing confidence. I don't want to see that.
Well, I don't like this season. I think when we heard what Goris was saying about, you know, maybe a step back could be a step forward for this team.
Right.
Maybe like it's starting to look like Casey's committed to playing all these young guys heavy minutes every night.
And that's wonderful. I don't care. I don't want them in this garbage heap. I don't want them losing 60 games a year, 55 games a year. That does a lot to a young player's psyche that is not positive. That is not positive at all.
More than it does if you just get buried in the G League when all the young guys on your team are playing in the NBA?
Yes. I would say he gets. I would argue that at the age of 20 years old, he has 19. 19 years old, he has more to gain playing in the G League and playing successfully and playing well instead of hitting long stretches where he may not be successful and the team continuously losing night after night, getting mad, getting discouraged. Yes, I think there's far more to gain from development than there is sticking him in the show now.
This is development. These games don't matter.
This is sticking him in the show so he gets his ass kicked on a nightly basis.
He's not getting his ass kicked. That's the thing. He's not getting his ass kicked.
Yes, he is, though. The team is getting their ass kicked. That's discouraging.
But he's not.
And he's had, what, a stretch of 4 fucking games? Woo!
In more than 4 games.
Okay, 5 or 6.
And more than that, too.
No, it's not.
Yeah, he started playing New Year's.
Okay, that's like 6 or 7 games, Andrew. Whoop-de-freaking-do.
8 games.
Okay, the season is 82 freaking games long. What happens next month when he has 10 straight games where he's shooting 24% and he hates basketball all of a sudden?
That's called development.
No, that's called stunting a player's growth by causing them to play in a shithole situation. There's a reason why every other sport doesn't allow overly young and raw talent to even sniff the big leagues because it hurts them to. They get rocked up here.
I mean, it's really just MLB, isn't it?
No, hockey is known for it. Known for it. Oh, yeah, they shelter the shit out of their young talent. You kidding me? They shelter the shit out of them.
You brought up what's his name right away.
No, they didn't.
I'm blanking on his name right now.
Mantha didn't even touch. Mantha didn't even touch the big leagues until he was 24.
Not Mantha.
Zadina was down in Grand Rapids for a year and a half.
Not Zadina.
Larkin,
yeah,
no.
We brought him up right away.
No, he was in. He played in the. Dude, he won a Calder Cup. He was down there for at least a year.
Yeah, but he was playing at like 21. The kid was playing,
and he got drafted at 18. Okay, or 19, 18 or 19. You're trust
and plus,
me. You don't bring up young talent like that.
When he initially got drafted, they were still a playoff team. albeit a borderline playoff team. They were still a playoff team. They were like getting 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th seed every year, and they were like insistent on trying to keep that streak alive. So
you shut your whore mouth. That team was not a playoff team. They did whatever they could.
Yeah,
to get
exactly.
there. That's not a way you run your organization, Andrew. When you know damn well.
But
you don't expose players, young talent like that, to shithole situations because it stunts their growth. There's a reason why the coaches that you put in your minor leagues, we'll call them, into your developmental leagues, are the coaches that you put there because they're better for developmental growth. The coach you put in your big league, in your main roster, is a guy that's there to win basketball games and play the best roster and play what he's got and continue to just be better, not necessarily develop a guy. The developmental leagues are for development. That's why we have them. That's where he needs to be. I understand he's looked real good up in the big league so far. He's played 8 games.
yeah.
That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't want to see this kid up here. I don't want him to ever see a stretch this year where he shoots 24% over 10 games. That's bad for his growth.
Well, he's been shooting above 50.
I understand. 8 games, Andrew. 8 games is fuck all.
But
he needs to be down where...
It's not like he's not taking shots. It's not like he's playing 8 games, taking like 3 shots a game.
Andrew,
like he shot
that is fucking irrelevant to me. I don't want to see him up here because if he hits a bad stride and it continues, it destroys his confidence, it destroys his production, it destroys his development. It's not a way you develop players in the NBA when they're raw or in any big league whatsoever. Every single other league does it this way. The only one who decides not to is the fucking NBA. And why do you think we only have 3 or 4 young kids actually be anything in the NBA every single year now? You know how many one and dones flame out of the damn league now?
But yeah, the NBA is a totally different league. I mean, like, you got young guys.
Because the NBA is quite possibly the worst of any major sport at developing young raw talent. It is quite possibly the worst at developing young talent. How many of these young kids that come out of college end up flaming out within 3 years? I'd argue 60, 70% of them. Why? Because the NBA sucks at developing talent. The European leagues are better at developing talent than we are.
NBA also has the shallowest talent pool of the 4 major sports. Remember, we only have 2-round drafts as opposed to multi-round drafts in every other league.
That would mean that there's more opportunity for you if there's less of a young, if there's fewer young players to be out there.
You only have a couple guys that you drafted. And if they don't, they don't pan out,
and if 60 and 70% of them aren't successful, then you're probably not developing them right. You have fewer people to develop at that point, and you aren't.
Well, you want a whole round worth of people to be successful?
There's less. I want at least 50% of players that come out of school to be good. Yeah.
That's a whole round worth of people that you're saying to be good.
That's kind of what the draft is freaking for.
That's not how it works. You know damn well in a draft, like any given NBA draft, there was only like 10 to 15 guys coming out of the first round that actually end up being good in the league.
I would even argue if that's a stretch.
That's a good draft.
That's a really good draft. Yeah. Like I'd bet you it's lower than 10 most years.
Like if you're asking for 30 guys coming out of the draft to be have any value in the league.
Okay, Andrew, it's like a proven statistic that the NBA is one of the worst at developing talent, at developing young raw talent. They have more one and dones fail in the NBA than in any other sport. Not including injury, because football has a lot of injury with their young talent. Not including injury. I'm talking straight up flaming out because the dude sucks and they can't develop them. The NBA has a serious issue with that. And I'll be honest with you, I do think it has a lot to do with the fact that they allow one and dones, because I think most of these kids coming out are not ready, but the NBA ain't doing them any favors. Yeah. And it's because their developmental leagues, frankly, for the most part, do suck. I think the Pistons actually have a halfway decent one. Call me crazy. I think their developmental team is good. I think that's a good situation for young guys. That's where I think Doumbouya should be. Yeah. He's not ready for the big league yet. He's 19 years old. It was said from the very beginning he was a raw project. Yeah. That's where he needs to be. He needs to be working with coaches who are going to single him out and work with coaches where he's going to get the most opportunity that he possibly can.
You don't think playing 25 minutes would help?
No, I don't think the same way. No, I don't. because it's a different type of coaching. The NBA the NBA coaching is for when you're already ready. That's what an NBA coach's job is to do. Is when you're ready to play, we're gonna play you. Get out there. He ain't ready.
Except Dwayne Casey's been known for his ability to develop young prospects.
Except Doumbouya except Siakam spent a year in the G League, and look at him now.
He didn't spend a year in the G League.
He spent a lot of time down in the G League
because again
he spent a lot of time in the G League, but I remember it exactly.
They didn't spend a full year in the G League. They were
a lot more than Doumbouya did.
Like, there's a totally different situation.
And Siakam was a far more finished product coming in.
Toronto in general was a more finished product in the Pistons.
That's what I'm saying though. I don't want to expose a young kid to shit show situations where he can go on stretches where they're losing 10, 15 games at a time. That destroys confidence, man. And if he hits a stride where he is playing terrible in the NBA because he can't cut it for a month and he hits that rookie wall, guess what's going to happen when they send his ass down? That kills the kid's confidence. He's 19.
That's why I don't think he's getting sent back down this year.
Oh, God, I wish they would. At all, if he gets sent back down at this point, they're fucked. I don't think they ever should have brought him up for anything other than a couple of games. This is a bad
at one point,
decision.
they brought him for a couple of games, sent him back down.
And that's how it should be.
But I think at this point, like, they're just committed to just playing all the young. So, like, for example, like, so this is the topic that I was trying to get into is, so, like, Doumbouya, Mikhailuk, Christian Wood, Bruce Brown, they've all been getting a lot of run.
Well, Mikhailuk's not exactly all that young anymore. He's been
like
in the
20.
league. But he's been in the league for like 2 or 3 years.
But he's
now.
like 20.
He's older than that.
He's very young.
He's a lot more seasoned though. He's been in the league for a few years now.
22, sorry.
22. He's been in the league for like 3 or 4 years now.
This is his first time really getting any. He didn't get much playing time with the Lakers either.
No,
like,
he didn't.
First time getting
but he still had experience in the NBA, and he's still got to play some games.
So Mikhailuk has been really has been so far looking like an ace from three. He's been
which
hot.
was what he was graded as coming into the league.
And Doumbouya's look somewhat of a switchblade. Bruce Brown has limited his turnovers more than I've ever seen him limit his turnovers. Do you think we're slowly getting a glimpse into at least some pieces of what the future of the Pistons could look like?
No, because I don't think these guys are actually going to be any kind of real solid roster players on a real contender. I'll be honest with you. I think the ceiling is very low for all three of those guys, outside of maybe Doumbouya. I think that's a guy who, if he takes his game to another level, that I don't know what his ceiling is. From what I've seen in videos of him in the G League and what I've seen this season, I don't know that his ceiling is quite a top 3 player on a roster. I think he's a number 4 guy on a roster. And so, frankly, I don't see... Yeah, I don't see... Because I don't see him being a guy who can dominate a game.
He's looking like a do-it-all kind of guy.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's a guy who can dominate a basketball game.
I know, but that's where it starts. He's got to be able to...
Okay, but again, you need a player that can dominate a basketball game. And so, frankly, I don't think any of those 3 guys can do it. I think 2 of those guys, and Bruce Brown is going to be a defensive specialist off the bench. I think Svi Mikhailuk will come in and shoot a few threes and then go back out. Again, I don't think, at least in the case
He is definitely a complimentary piece. But,
in the case of Bruce Brown and Svi Mikhailuk, I think both those guys are situational type players that won't be a cornerstone of any franchise.
I can see Bruce Brown being a valuable backup guard off the bench.
As a defensive specialist, yes, he's going to play 15 minutes a game maybe. Again, or 20. Again, I don't think either one of those guys are cornerstone players of this future. I think the only one you can look at, and frankly, I can't even say I can look at him as being one of the future, because you haven't seen enough of him, is Doumbouya. That's it. So, no, I don't think we're getting a glimpse of what the Pistons' future looks like, because I don't even think we've hit a point where we can say, okay, this is what the future is going to look like, because we haven't even started a rebuild
I didn't
yet.
say that. I just said a piece of the future.
No,
this is like
I don't even think we're looking at a sliver of the future. I think we're looking at one player who, frankly, I don't even know that the Pistons are going to be bringing back Bruce Brown and Svi Mikhailuk, to be honest with you. Because I don't think either one of them really, if you're really trying to contend for a team, neither one of them are going to be on that team right now.
Also, Mikhailuk keeps hitting threes at the clip he's hitting them. I'd keep him.
Okay, again, it's been a stretch of how many games?
I know. So it said if he were to keep hitting them.
You're grasping at straws there, all right?
But back is it back. Is Dr. Doom a good nickname or not?
He doesn't deserve a nickname yet. No, it's not. I'm not giving a nickname to a player who's had an 8-game successful stretch of the NBA.
You're so mad about Sekou, man. Just be happy.
I don't want him here.
Be happy.
I don't want him in the big roster. I want him down where he should be, developing his damn game with coaches whose job it is to develop you. What the fuck do we pay these pieces of shit for?
to develop everyone else.
What? So they can be cut in 3 days? Come on.
Anyway,
Who are we developing down there? Jordan Bone, who's never going to see the light of the NBA?
Believe it or not, fun fact about Jordan Bone, he has the lowest fantasy point total of any active NBA player so far. And I believe
You mean to tell me he's not even down there?
No, he played one game and he got like -2 points and fantasy wise.
So let me I'm going back to your point. Develop everybody else. Who the hell are we developing down there? Give me an honest answer. Exactly.
Jordan Bone.
Whoa.
Jordan Bone and a bunch of and a bunch
kids
of
never gonna
guys.
sniff the NBA. At least not a job that's worth a damn. He might be a towel boy someday. I actually really hope he pans out. I kind of like the kid, so I'm being kind of a dick. But
honestly, I'd bring him up, give him some run, put Tony's not alone. What's his fucking name? Thon Maker in the G League.
there's a you know what? There's a perfect example of what happens to a player if you expose him to a bad situation in the NBA too early.
Or Thon Maker just never really developed his tools.
There's a perfect example of a guy who was too raw and wasn't able to develop in the NBA. That's what happens to players like that. He's too young, too raw, has all these gifts. He's very gifted, very talented. He's got to refine them.
They can never figure out how to put them together.
Because they don't develop properly by just throwing them out to the damn wolves.
Anyway.
That's not how you learn. That's not how you develop. You have to learn to play the game.
Let's talk football for a second.
God.
So the Pistons, Jesus Christ. The Lions, well, as we all know, they have the 3rd pick in the draft. And as we all know, Tua declared. The conversation I don't think is being given up, because a lot of people are saying, do you pick Tua with your 3rd overall pick? If you're the Lions, do you want the Lions to pick Tua? But I think the conversation is not getting enough run right now among Lions fans is just how much more valuable Tua declaring makes our 3rd overall pick. Because it's no secret that there are a lot of teams that really do like Tua coming in this draft. I think if the Lions aren't planning on taking Tua, I think you really try to shop this pick because your pick, the value of your 3rd round pick.
So how hard did that hit you in the face before you realized
because the value of your 3rd round because I already wanted to shop the pick to begin with when we went to 3rd round pick.
How hard did that have to hit you in the face before you realized it? Because I don't know if there's anything more obvious than that.
I know, but no one's talking about it. That's why I
Whoa. I don't know if you listen to the local radio station here. That's all they fucking talk about.
They all talk about, do you draft Tua?
No,
that's all they talk about.
No. I don't know how much you've been listening, but everything I've heard is, we need to trade this pick. If we're not drafted Tua, we need to trade this pick. Every single show is saying it.
Then why didn't you shut down this topic when I brought it up?
Because I agree with it. If they're talking about it, we should be. I mean, hell, if everybody else is talking about it, why aren't we?
Because every time I listen to the radio, I'm right home like, all right, I get it. Like, you guys want Tua. Why is no one talking about trading? Like, I never hear anyone talking about trading it.
I don't know when you're listening, because every single time I'm listening, it's always, we need to trade this pick.
It's usually either between the hours of 4 and 5 or between the hours of 11.
Well, that's one of the shows that's talking about it. Let me tell you. But anyways, I'm actually going to one-up you here, and I'm going to say that not only does Tua declaring for the drafts make that pick more valuable, but the report that came out this past week of he's going to be throwing at the combine in April. He's going to the medical reports coming back on him right now are excellent. That he's going to be ready for the season. The season that makes it even more valuable. And there's teams behind you that need a quarterback. The Miami Dolphins at 5 are a great example of that. What you'd get from them to move up from 5 to 1, I don't know. The reports I've heard include their pick along with a 3rd and a 4th or a 2nd and a 3rd. Their pick this year and their pick next year. I mean, I've heard a lot of different things. And I don't think you're going to end up getting 2 first-round picks for them to move up 2 spots, to be honest with you. I don't think you get that. Because when the Bears traded up, they didn't give that up to get Mitch Trubisky. So I think you'd end up getting a 1st and their 3rd and 4th this year, maybe something next year. I don't know, but that's kind of what I've looked at. But I mean, if let me preface this by saying this: I want the Lions to draft Tua Tagovailoa,
and I'll agree with you.
Or Joe Burrow, whichever one is available.
I doubt Joe Burrow will be available.
Did you watch that national championship game? There is no way in hell.
Hurt?
There is no. He was.
That's what just came out today.
There is no way in hell. Anybody's passing him up at number 1. I know the Redskins are at number 2, and they already drafted Dwayne Haskins. If he gets past him at number 1, guess what? They're drafting him at number 2. He is one of the best quarterback prospects I have ever seen. This dude's unreal.
Yeah.
Now, I want the Lions to draft their quarterback of the future this year. Reason being, I don't trust the medicals of Matthew Stafford or the lack of information we're getting. I don't know that how long Matthew Stafford's going to continue to play football. This organization seems to have an issue with having their stars retire early because of injury, or they just want to quit football. Stafford could be the Luke Kuechly. His was he needed to retire.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of concussions that are kind of scary. He needed to retire, and he's a future Hall of Famer. He's had one hell of a career. He needed to retire. Every time he played, I kind of cringed a little because anytime he took a shot or laid one on, oh man, I felt that pain. It ain't fun. But Stafford's 31 years old. He's got 2 years left in his deal. I know he's got a competitive edge, and I know he wants to continue playing football, but I wonder how much his back's going to hold up. You got to remember, this is a very similar injury to what Tony Romo, his career ended on. So how much do we, and this is now the second straight year that he's had this injury, how much is left for Matthew Stafford? Was he having a great season? Absolutely. Does he have the arm talent to continue? Yes, but is his body going to hold up for X amount of years? I don't know how much is left there. And even then, once you hit 32 years old as a quarterback, unless you're Tom Brady or Drew Brees or Phillip Rivers, you tend to kind of decline a little bit.
Yeah.
So if I'm the Lions, I'm looking at my next guy. I'll be honest with you. And because I don't think this team is ready to win now. I don't think the roster's good enough. You may be losing Darius Slay.
I think it's almost a given at this point.
I do too. Because I don't think your defense is very good. And frankly, what else is going to be there available to you at 3? I don't love it. Because CJ Okuda is a great corner. But if you're just doing it,
3?
Well, 1, do you really want to take corner at 3? And 2, all you'd be doing at that point is replacing Darius Slay with him, and you're no better.
Now, if you were pairing him with Darius, you have an argument, but still, I don't know about taking the corner at 3.
Again, if you were pairing him, that is where I can get on board a little bit more with that, but that doesn't make you a playoff contending team.
That's a move that someone who's on the verge of needs cold pieces a lot.
Right, that's a move where a team that was 8-8 last year and has their quarterback in place, has their team set, we're just a couple of pieces away from a playoff or a divisional championship.
Yeah,
that team makes that move.
And this is where Martha Ford bringing back Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia is
makes zero sense.
Is going to screw us because they're going to be making those kinds of moves that a contender would make, instead of making moves that would make sense for the future of this team, because they're going to be fighting for their jobs this season. So I can almost guarantee whatever move they make is not one that's going to be beneficial to the team long term.
And the other name that's been brought up to that, I've seen them taking at 3 is that defensive tackle from Clemson. Very fine player, but at 3? I don't believe in taking an interior defensive lineman that high. I'm sorry, I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
Aaron Donald didn't even go that high.
Well, he should have. Let's be honest. He should have.
Sue went that high.
Yeah. And as he should have. And Sue, as he should have. Yeah. But again, I don't love anything else at 3 that's not Tua Tagovailoa, because you're not taking Jerry Jeudy. That'd be a weird situation. Why would you? That'd be a Matt Millen type pick, is what that pick would be. I don't love anything else at that number 3 spot besides Tua Tagovailoa. So if you're not taking Tua, trade out of that spot, move to 5, move to 6, 7, 8, whatever. Trade back, get yourself in a better position to take the position that you actually want, considering you're not going to rebuild now. But again, I firmly believe that quarterback of the future is the right pick for this Lions team for the future. I do.
Except they ain't happening.
Someone's got to wise up.
I will bet my left nut.
The left one? I mean, I won't wager any of mine, but I'd be willing to take your wager.
Anyway, so they were both in agreement on that topic, but that'll do it for us on this week's podcast.
A little more fiery than usual.
Yeah.
I like it.
I didn't know Sekou Doumbouya was a trigger for you.
It's not a trigger. It's not Sekou. I like Sekou Doumbouya. I think he's going to be a very fine player in this league. I think he's going to be a very nice addition. Mm-hmm. I am so scared of his development being stunted because they brought him up too soon. Mm-hmm. That is that can be so detrimental to a raw talent. And that is exactly what he is a raw talent. I think he's so talented, but I want him to just have more time.
He loses talent, but you're right. He's raw.
I want him to be more refined before he gets involved in a shit show like the Detroit Pistons. Yeah. Do I like Dwayne Casey and think he can develop talent? Yes, but I don't think it's all focused on him right now because of the presence of other young guys like Luke Kennard, like Bruce Brown, like Svi Mikhailuk, like Don Maker. I think there's other guys that are still developing as well who have a little more tenure in the league. Mm-hmm. And were also not quite as raw when they drafted that. When they got drafted, although Svi was, but he's had some experience in the league now. I really wanted to see them hold off on bringing Sekou up this early. He's just not 100%. Like, it worries the shit out of me. That'd be like the Wings bringing up Mo Sider right now. That would be one of the worst decisions you could ever make. Kid's 18 years old. Mm-hmm. Please don't do that. Yeah. Next year, we'll talk. Kid looked real good in the World Juniors. I'll be straight up with you. He looked real good in the World Juniors. Mm-hmm. It ain't his time yet. I don't want to expose a young talent to a shit show. Mm-hmm. And that's what Detroit sports are, is a shit show. And that's all, folks.
A perfect note to end it on. So, again, if you liked this podcast, don't forget to subscribe to Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I feel like the way you're doing the sign out, we need elevator music behind it.
Don't forget to watch our live stream on every Monday, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we take a more national view of sports, and we also bring movies into the fold and whatever other fuckery we decide to talk about. But that being said, anything else to add before we close up?
Not at all. Hit up our Twitter at RealFanReport. If there's any topics you want to suggest, or if you want to yell at me or Andrew, go right ahead. We enjoy witty banter on the Twitter sphere. But anyways, guys, thank you for listening. We will catch you guys next week, as per usual. This has been the Fan Reporters by fans.
For fans.
Thank you guys again, and we will catch you next week, as I literally just said. I don't know how to do a sign-out anymore.
We need a script.
Yeah, we do. Have a good weekend, guys. Peace out.
Deuces.